Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 404 of Pixels and Ink, the official podcast of CG Magazine, where we take a critical eye to gaming, comics, tech, and media. I'm your host today, Chris DeHoog, and I'm joined by our editor-in-chief, Brendan Fry.
Hello there.
Dana Eileen.
Oh, hey. Brendan deafened me slightly. Oh, no, don't play with the controls. We're in trouble.
We're in for a fun one tonight. Jordan Biordi.
That's me. Back as usual.
And Edward Gafton.
Hello.
How's everybody doing tonight / tomorrow morning for Ed?
He's in the future.
Not too bad. Energy levels on the lower end, but enthusiasm high.
Can that happen? Can you be enthusiastic and not energetic? I don't know that I've.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Those.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
You can
I
be
accept.
energetic. You can be enthusiastic, but have literally no energy to do anything.
Yeah.
I suppose that's
It's like
possible.
the mind is willing, but the body is soft.
Yes.
It's like- it's
I
quite
don't
wrong.
like
Short of
anything you
stature,
just
but
said.
Stout of heart.
Don't like it.
I
Do not
butchered that
accept.
quote, and I was realizing now how bad that sounded. That's a thing
We're good.
that was
We're
said.
good.
I'm good. I'm good.
Typical start for us.
Yeah, we're killing it over
Hey.
here.
My foot is in my mouth fully, and we can move on. We thank you for joining us. You're watching us live because you could be watching The Rings of Power on Amazon
you
Prime,
could be
which
watching it
they
later.
debuted today.
What do
We
we
watch
post
it later
at the
too.
same time?
It's
Oh,
not going
that's not
anywhere. These
today?
live antics
Oh.
are. That started
I thought
today.
it was tomorrow.
And you can stream
Yeah,
it at any
Thursday
time
was-
at this point now. So I
I
mean, it
thought it
doesn't
was
need to.
already out. I'll be
No,
honest. I
not
thought
the
it's been
Rings
out
of
for like
Power.
a week.
That's
I-
House of Dragons.
Yes, you're thinking
House
of the
of
House
the
of the Dragon,
Dragon.
or rather.
There you go.
So
Oh.
we find ourselves in a bit of a phase where a bunch of beloved fantasy franchises are getting some prequel love. To mixed effect. I mean, a lot of people are really skeptical of Rings of Power, despite some of our early reviews, including our own. What was it? A 10 out of 10?
10 out of 10. Rave
numbers.
reviews. Those are big numbers.
That's
They're
pretty
no
good.
joke.
So have you guys? Did you guys go to an event in Toronto for? Was there
Not
something-
for
was
Rings
that-
of Power.
Oh, that was for
that
House of the Dragon. Okay.
Dragon.
Right.
Yeah. Which I also thought was excellent. So, that and
It
stuff.
was good.
And stuff.
What about everybody? Jordan, Ed, have you guys seen either one of those shows yet? I mean,
both
yeah,
dead to
Thursday.
me.
It's the first day. It's kind of a.
It's been a little
Yeah.
busy.
Mhm.
It's been busy this
Yeah.
week.
I'm still meaning to watch Sandman. I've been
That's
Yeah, me
good.
too.
I wouldn't know. I only got to
watch.
watch the first episode of that, and then somebody watched it without me. You
I
can
keep
guess
saying to
who.
myself, I'm like, I'm just gonna sit down, I'm gonna watch it, and then I just get like sucked into like a YouTube hole again, and I'm just like, yeah, you know what, this is easier to watch.
See, it's TikTok for me. It's shorter. I have the attention span of like a doorknob. I don't know. It's gotta be short. If you send me a video that is like more than 2.5 minutes, I'm out. I will not watch it. I will send an LOL really quick. My ex-husband will respond to me and be like, "You did not watch that." I'm like, "I did not.
It's just-
That did not happen."
It's just one of those things where like I've gotten so like I guess like comfortable watching Oni plays specifically that like I just turn it on for like background noise and I'll literally just like fall asleep to it. Like
It's your
it's-
lullaby.
it's my go-to, honestly. I downloaded it like when I went to Brazil. I downloaded like it was like a 10-hour long play of like a series they did, and I just like put it on and fell asleep, and I just like slept the whole plane ride.
I can't function when things are talking. Like my
That's-
mom, she can't sleep without the TV on. If her
Mhm.
TV
That's
is
the
broken
thing.
for any reason, she won't sleep. If you put on anything with voices, it doesn't matter if I've seen it 1,000 times. I will be like, "What?" the entire time. It's
No, that's
awful.
what I mean. It's like it's so like it's just like I don't know. It's like here. I think it's like it's gotten to the point now where like yeah, like hearing people like talk is like kind of like relaxing to me. So like it helps me just like I'll just like fall asleep.
Poker
to it.
chips. My ex-husband used to watch poker on TV all the time, and
I thought you were talking
that's
about,
what
like,
I used.
ASMR.
Kind of, yeah.
It
They'd be
does have
sitting there.
elements of
They'd
ASMR,
be
yeah.
sitting. I actually am super into that now, and everybody in my life hates it. So every time I put it on, anybody around me is like, "Why?" I'm like, I don't know, because I hate mouth sounds, but like I like mouth sounds now, so that's weird. But no, the poker chips used to like the clinking of the chips used to put me to sleep, and now every time I hear that, I'm like, nap time. This got off topic.
Yeah,
Not
it's
at
fine.
all. It leads
Not at
into our
all.
first
Anyway,
topic.
Lord of the Rings.
So I read Brock's review over pretty thoroughly, and
Mhm.
a lot of what he was saying was it's like deep in the lore, but not at all because it's not actually from the books. But he said there's
Okay.
lots of things that if you aren't a fan of the series, you may not understand. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I wanted to talk about with this tonight. Like, is that a good thing? Like, should we be making shows that are prequels, sequels, or in the same universe that are going to alienate anybody that's not already caught up?
I feel like with something like Lord of the Rings, it's probably safe because like Lord of the Rings feels to me like one of those things that's so like ubiquitous. Like it's one of those movies that pretty much like everyone has seen,
Mhm.
Yep.
or at least heard of to some like, or you know about it to some degree. Like so, like to if they were to have adapted something from like the Silmarillion specifically and some of the other books that like are really like lore intensive, I feel like that would be more alienating to like than to like
Mhm.
work from something that was like made so kind of from the ground up that had a particular like vision specifically for like a serialized series, and then like draw little bits from from the books to like kind of fill in the gaps a little bit more, right?
Here's a fun fact. So I just went to look up the release date of any of the original Lord of the Rings
Mhm.
movies, just to kind of state like there's a whole new generation of people that probably haven't seen them. I
There's
was
so many
pretty
adaptations as
yeah,
well
I,
before the Peter Jackson films.
that's true. I
Mhm.
saw The Hobbit in like a play when I was in elementary school, I think.
Yeah.
But my
Right.
point to that was I was going to say there's probably a whole group of people that didn't grow up with this, and unless their parents were like nerds like we are, they may not have been introduced to it. But in trying to look that up, when you type in Lord of the Rings release date, guess what comes up?
Rings of Power.
Rings of Power.
Rings of Power. Every
There you go.
article, an entire page, you
Mhm.
without me saying the Lord of the Rings movie original, like
Mhm.
it doesn't even exist right
Probably
now.
because the films came out when we didn't really care about SEO that much. I
Exactly.
imagine
Yeah.
also. So like and like
Yeah.
tagging and stuff, different era of the internet.
Yeah.
But like related also to the books, I don't think they have the legal right to adapt any of that stuff anyway.
Mhm.
So even if they
Really?
wanted to do Silmarillion or even Unfinished Tales or even the extended history that Christopher Tolkien, not J.R.R. Tolkien, wrote,
Mhm.
I don't think they're legally allowed to do so. So I
So
think
they can
that's
just use the characters. They can't use any of the actual books.
So
yeah.
essentially, this takes place in between like the first group. It's the second age. Now I'm going to talk like I know what I'm talking about. I absolutely do not. So that's what I've seen a lot of people mad about. Is it's got nothing to do with it. It's garbage.
Mhm.
That's what I keep hearing. And the only way that I could say that it's garbage is if I can't jump into it. Even having seen the Lord of the Rings movies, we know my memory. I don't remember a damn thing. If I can't jump into it and figure it out and enjoy it, then to me,
Mhm.
it's garbage. What's the point? For
Well,
only people from 20 years ago that can watch this
and,
movie.
and that's I guess that's kind of like the thing that like it works, and almost to kind of what Edward was saying, that like it's like because the way media and like social media work now is that more or less everyone's going to have heard of Rings of Power, and if it looks even like remotely like Game of Thrones, they're going to be like, I need to check this out, and then that might like take them in the direction of going to like sitting down and watching Lord of the Rings. But
Mhm.
like at the same time, like the Lord of the Rings doesn't really get too intense about like this like the ages before. Like there's literally just one mention at the beginning of the first movie about like the 9 rings of power that like that went to the men, some
third
went to the
film has
elves, and
some flashback
Mhm.
scenes as well, especially at the
yeah.
beginning.
See,
So
and
it's
that's
like
what I liked.
it's very piecemeal. So this thing is just like it's only gonna just be like to not even fill in gaps, but just to like actually like establish a foundation for that like one or like line of dialogue and a couple flashbacks that were in the first movies.
Oh, I was going to say something. Oh, that's what I was going to say about House of the Dragon was I watched all of Game of Thrones, but as I just said moments ago, we know my memory. So it
Mhm.
doesn't, if you ask me about such and such a character, short
Yeah.
of like Daenerys, I don't know. I don't know their names. I
Jon Snow?
remember Okay,
Jon
Yeah,
Snow.
Ned Stark.
forget that. But like, what is it? I think Egret was.
Sure.
Is that? See,
Yeah.
Brendan doesn't friggin' know either. Anyway, that's not the point. Point was, I jumped into the House of the
Dracarys means
Dragon,
fire.
and there were there were a bunch of little nods to the show that
Mm.
I got and can be like, oh, cool, I get it, haha. But I didn't need to memorize every line from the last show to understand what was going on, and
Mhm.
I think that's important, and that's even important if you want to bring new people into it. Because say my partner is super into Lord of the Rings and wants me to sit down and watch this with them.
Mm.
Okay, that's cool. Except if I can't get into it in any way, shape, or form because I can't understand it. Okay, but if I can understand it and I do enjoy it, it might bring me back to watch the movies, read the books, do whatever. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've like again having not seen the show yet because it just debuted today. I haven't had a chance to get into it, but the Silmarillion
podcast.
itself, it's a very dense and very metaphysical thing at first to adapt. And
Mhm.
if they had tried to do it verbatim, even if they had the legal rights, because there's that weird gray area there with the rights, it would not be a very appealing series. Like for instance, I knew people who just couldn't watch Lord of the Rings when it came out in theaters because it was 3 hours long. It was just too long and too slow and everything like that. If people think Lord of the Rings is slow, the Silmarillion can be just so much
It's gonna be a
denser
9-hour
and slower
movie.
based. Like
Oh yeah, the
it's
Silmarillion is
not like
it-
Frodo goes into a room and does this. It's like, and then Frodo's whole life happened. Like it's a big, it's
Yeah.
a much different scale.
It has a
So I think-
glossary. It has a full-on like agenda. It has multiple maps. Tolkien was famous for like knowing every single detail of his like meticulously crafted world. So it's very nerdy. It's maximum nerd. You know, it's like as deep as you can go into the rabbit hole.
Tolkien too was like such a dry author, right? Like he would like even Lord of the Rings, he would spend like a page and a half describing the side of a hill. Like
And then this side of the hill was green.
it-
This side
it's
had
actually
some
it's a
flowers
big
on
part
it.
of the-
Yeah.
It's a big part of the reason why I couldn't get into the book. I tracked down and actually tried to start reading Fellowship of the Rings, and I couldn't do it because it was like so dry in comparison to The Hobbit, which is like probably my favorite book of all time. Like I've read that book like 9 times.
A different philosophy. The Hobbit
Yeah.
was always intended to be a children's book, and it wasn't
Yeah.
connected to Lord
Yeah.
of the Rings, and then it
It's more
became
fun.
different idea.
Like I said,
Yeah,
they took
there's-
me to see the play in elementary school, and like obviously, The Hobbit wasn't something we read in school, but they were like, "Let's go." I remember a giant spider. Is that a thing?
Yeah, what's
Well,
giant
yeah,
spider?
there were
many spiders.
Just for the record,
That-
I don't
There- I
do
mean-
spiders, but giant spider on a stage when I was
There
a small
is
child.
It's
So
okay.
maybe that's why I
A
don't do
giant
them.
spider that they made into a sexy lady in the game, but
And that's
And the
why they played
second
that game.
shadow.
she was like before like time existed.
Yeah,
Is this
she
what
eats
nightmares are
like,
made of.
light.
Uh,
Shelob eats light, right? Or something like
Yeah.
Shelob was like one of the lesser spiders too, like because she came from like Ungoliant, which was like the god of spiders type of thing.
Everyone just tuned out.
Yeah,
Lord,
Everyone's gone.
Actually, the spider was an Ungoliant, and yeah, and that's why I never played that game because they made her a sexy lady instead of a spider.
Well, they had to.
The other thing too, though, is that
Always
most of these Silmarillion stories too are things that Christopher Tolkien took after J.R. Tolkien died and published. Like he had to clean everything up. Tolkien never finished these stories, and for me, I think that gives them the opening to kind of come in and say, "Hey, here's Galadriel going on some adventures and stuff like that." Because
Isn't that what happened with like, I don't know, The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones? Weren't they not done the books before they put all the shows?
well, Game of
together?
Thrones especially was not done.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
Walking Dead kept
Walking
at a pretty
Dead
consistent
was-
pace ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even because yeah, 'cause
They stayed ahead?
When
Yeah, I
they
think
got
so.
to the part with Negan in like where the show was, like they were well past that in the comics.
Yeah, there's several volumes of the comics like way ahead of them at all times at least.
Yeah.
Stop
And they
reading
never
around
quite got
Gwen's
to where the
exit.
comic ended either, from what I understand.
No.
Yeah.
And well, the
But,
comics are vastly different too from the show itself too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
it
Yeah, the
goes in
timelines are
much
completely
different
skewed.
directions. Yeah.
Versus like something like Game of Thrones with House of the Dragon. Like I've read part of the book that they based House of the Dragon on,
Mhm.
and I think what they're doing with it is pretty interesting. And they found a way to kind of frame it so that it's Game of Thrones like, but not
Mhm.
just ripping it off. You know,
Mhm.
there's a lot of homages. They use a lot of the same sets from what it looks like.
They use the
like this-
opening as well, the song, and then
Yeah,
the scene itself.
I was a little surprised they kept the theme song the same. Actually, I thought they would do like a variation on that theme or something like
good
that. But
theme
it's just
song.
the same.
I think
I
it's a
haven't
big
seen
deal
the second episode yet.
to do with the identity of the show, and like it plays on nostalgia. Something that like I haven't considered is like how easy it will be to get the fans back. So I'll give you one clear example. My mom and dad, huge Game of Thrones fans, very upset about the last season. Now they're back on it, and I see it on the internet. My Twitter is trending with House of the Dragon. My TikTok is flooded with like Game of Thrones moments. It
But
like
that's like
the resurgence
you
happened
not?
in a snap. And it's
Like-
strange.
Think of your favorite video game franchise, like any one. Somebody name one that's more than one game.
Metroid.
Go.
Zelda.
Kingdom
Sure.
Hearts.
There you go. Any of those. If they come out with a new game right now, are you gonna be like, nah?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Really? You wouldn't even
You
be
know what?
curious?
Kingdom
Yeah.
Hearts has had a really bad
Yeah.
history, so I don't blame you with that.
You want to keep it good? See, but I would
Metroid
still
has been pretty
need to know.
consistent at least.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the same way,
Recoded?
like
Oh.
you said the last season of Game of
Really?
Thrones, or for me with Walking Dead. I mean, actually, I'm super behind, but like, even though there were points where I got tired of it and I was done with it, I still kind of want to know. Even with
Yeah.
the new Walking
Well-
Dead shows coming out, I'm like, I want to see if they cross over. I want to see what happens. Damn it!
That's what I
might-
got you.
Make the argument that like because I think it's pretty universally agreed upon that the last season of The Walking Dead was just like so bad that like
Really, it
It's-
got that bad?
oh it's
Hey,
terrible. Oh
hey.
they done Daenerys dirty. But anyway, that's
Game of okay, I'm very
no
Game of
spoilers,
Thrones: The
no
Walking
spoilers.
Dead.
Yeah, you said
Did
Did
Walking
you mean
Dead.
Walking Dead or Game of Thrones?
Did I say Game of Thrones? Did I say?
You-
I meant
you said
to-
Walking
I meant
Dead.
You
to
said
say-
Walking Dead and Daenerys, so
Okay.
now we really
Walk-
don't know what's
okay,
happening.
So
okay,
if
we-
they did Daenerys wrong on Walking Dead, something really got
Then
messed
I
up.
really
Yeah,
missed
you're-
something in the last
you're-
one.
yeah,
Like,
you're
I-
very far
I
behind.
clocked out at the wrong time.
Crossover.
Walking Dead's been bad since the third season, and Game of Thrones ended really piss poorly.
Yeah, it did.
So
It-
like
it-
I
Even
I
I say
would-
that, and I'm pretty like,
yeah. So that's kind of why I wouldn't, I guess, maybe necessarily blame people for maybe giving another like a prequel
Mhm.
series a chance, because it's like with the like first series of Game of Thrones, it's like the way it ends kind of makes you hate it and not ever want to go back to it, but something that's like new and not set in the same kind of like time period that like is like maybe like
but
has a
I'm
chance
still
of
gonna watch
redeeming it.
Snow when it comes out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
well,
that's
everyone
watch
loves Jon
it,
Snow. Everyone loves what's his name there?
Kit Harington.
Kit
I just let
Harington.
him do
Kit
it.
Harington. I was gonna say
Brendan
Keith.
met him. I'm gonna say that every time we
Huh?
bring him up. Brendan met Kit
Uh,
Harington.
What's interesting about House of the Dragon as well is that the showrunner apparently left. I think there's a news article, a news piece that came out yesterday or 2 days ago about like how he's super burnt out already. Season 2 already renewed, but showrunner already like left. So it's already like tumultuous waters.
Damn.
Mhm.
I mean,
But I think
don't-
what what works for House of the Dragons too is that it's the Targaryens in their prime, and that's something
Mhm.
that was always kind of talked about on Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
And it's kind of the thing that people wanted the most, and we never really got to see properly, right? Like we saw Daenerys running
Yeah.
around, but that was, a shadow of what her house was. So
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
think I remember seeing something about how I guess it's King's Landing, right? How
Yeah.
Mhm.
now we're supposed to be seeing it like in its glory, not in
Mhm.
its demise.
Yeah, I mean, that makes
Um,
sense the way they've kind of set it up.
So that's kind of cool. We get to see it all like shiny and new. I mean, aside from some things that happen, but we won't go there. Again, haven't watched
Well,
the second episode.
yeah.
Okay.
that first episode, halfway through, when that one big gory scene happened, I was like, "Oh right, Game of
Oh.
Thrones. Yeah, this was Game of Thrones. Okay, yeah, this
Right.
is what we're
Yeah.
getting. This is what we do here.
Okay,
Okay,
but here's the thing. Like, this sounds really strange and it might seem really immature of me, but Brendan and I got to go to the event to see it. So we're watching it in a packed theater. And like, there's a lot of sex and nudity and all
There's
that
definitely
jazz
a lot
in
of
Game
sex
of
and nudity.
Thrones. And I like go to the theater to see Marvel movies. So like there's just like full on asshole in my face.
Which
Hi
only
mom,
has
she's listening.
one sex scene in the entire franchise MCU. Only one,
There you
the one
go.
sex scene.
I did not even know that. But I like genuinely got uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, other
Mm.
people can see that I'm watching this. Like, I don't like it. I was like, oh, wait, I'm also an adult and this is okay.
It's like the people at Anime North who go to like the hentai viewings at like night. Then they say it's
There are
just
hentai
for a
viewings
joke.
at Grand Anime North.
Oh yeah, And everyone and people go there, and supposedly it's just for the lulls. But we all
Mom,
know.
don't look up hentai. My
Don't.
mom's here. Don't do
Don't.
it, please.
You
Don't
had
try
to
and
go
spell
with
it,
the
don't look it up.
mindset that it was just for the lulls.
Yeah, sure.
Just wanted you to laugh at it.
Sure.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're
Okay,
just gonna
sure.
laugh at it. I'm sure. Sure.
Yeah.
How was the mood in the
It's always
theater at
super
like that
moist
one
in the rooms.
gory scene?
It was fine.
Yeah, there it was
wasn't any,
pretty
like,
chill.
awkward
Like
gasps or anything?
it wasn't a very pumped theater crowd.
I mean,
Like
they said some things.
at the end, yeah. But that's because it was a Q&A. So they
What
were
kinds of
supposed to
therapy?
say things.
Oh, there's a lot
NBA
of-
things, spoilers.
The no. The Q&A was with what's his name? We're
Smith?
gonna type House of the Dragon
wish. No.
cast.
Jim.
Damn it.
Yes, Jim. You know Jim.
Just pull up one of the most common names and see if
I typed House of
landed
the
it.
Dragon cats. The internet is confused now.
That's probably some good reactions to that.
Yeah, hold on.
Just as
What's
long
his
as Matt Smith
freaking
wasn't
name?
there and someone didn't tell him it was morbing time again. 'cause
Steve-
that was horrible.
Steve Toussaint. So Lord Corlys Valerian.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was there, and it was pretty cool listening to like
Mm.
we talked about this in another podcast, so I won't go on. But it was cool listening to what he had to say about the process and all that jazz.
Yeah.
But yeah, the people again with being mad at the past Game of Thrones had some things to say. They're like, I was never going to see it again, but I saw this. Like, okay, but you didn't try real hard then, did you? Because
That
you're
was
I'm
here.
also
Question,
over
thank
it,
you.
right? Like
Mhm.
to bear a grudge against it still, I don't know. I'm over it. Like
Yeah.
It was funny that they had to like come out and say like, I hated this, but you've won me over. I'm like,
thank
I don't
you for
think he
inviting me to the event.
cares.
I hated
Yeah.
your last work, but that you
Yeah.
weren't involved in.
Yeah,
You have a
absolutely.
question.
Yes,
Okay,
that
that's
actually
fine,
was
but this
how
is-
that happened. I'm
So
pretty
this is a
sure.
Wendy's.
Brendan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this person said all that, and he went, "That's not a question."
Oh,
I'm
and I
pretty
wasn't
sure
on
that
that
happened.
show.
No, that was the third. That happened. Then someone else said. Then the third person just said something, and he's like, "That's not a question." He's like, "Oh, and this part." And like, okay, I guess I'll answer that now.
Yeah, this is uncomfortable. I'm so excited for Q&As at TIFF. I'm just going to be confused the
Mm.
whole time. And
Just make lots of
sleepy.
statements.
So slippy.
Just say
This is a
things.
statement and answer.
I just wanted to let you know how I felt. Bye. Mic drop. Peace out.
After all, bye.
Anyway.
Plus, one last thing I'll say for House of the Dragons too. It has an endpoint. Like this is all
Yeah.
history that has been written, unlike Game of Thrones, which had no landing strip. So I,
I'm
Dana,
sorry.
Dana Eileen.
I will not. We were talking about hentai. I'm sorry. I'm gone.
Well, the bar was lower. That's true. But yeah, no, there's a much more
Or was it
concise vision, I
raised?
think, which is working in its favor too. I think the first couple episodes have impressed me, so
I dig
we'll
it.
see where it all leads, and we'll see how people react to.
I
Rings of
want to
Power
watch the
today,
second
too.
one. I'm actually writing my partner
Mm.
currently to say I'm not watching it with him. He's also watching this and heard that. Anyway,
Anyways, so that this explosion of new fantasy stuff kind of comes at the end of it's summer's over, guys. It's
we have a few more weeks.
Wah,
Yeah,
wah.
there's a few more weeks,
well, I mean,
officially.
how dare
It's
you?
back to school time.
pumpkin
so it
spice
kinda
is back.
feels
School's
like-
back next week. It's
10 degrees
Yeah.
Celsius where I'm at. It's
It
cold.
was 14 this morning,
Jacket
it was
weather.
pretty chilly this morning. I was wearing a sweater.
Sweater
It was
weather
like-
has
but then it was
arrived.
29 this evening. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
well, a little bit of balance. But yeah, we thought we'd look back at the summer of gaming that was or that
Mm.
just ended, because a lot of stuff kind of snuck in there, didn't it? Like it's felt like we've been in a bit of a lull, but at the same time, if you look back at everything that's come out since, let's say, June, it's hasn't been quite as slow as we thought.
Let's put it this way: I have games I'm into right now, and they aren't games that came out 3 years ago.
Yeah.
No?
Wow.
What are
I'm
you playing?
I'm willingly playing a video game right now, guys. I mean, I'm forcibly playing another one that I can't talk about, but I am willingly playing a video game that the other game makes me want to play more. I'm playing Cult of the Lamb.
Oh.
I created Chris and Brendan so far. I have not had to sacrifice either of you, but if you make me mad, I will make you worship at my shrine regularly. Just saying. Just saying. Jordan, you're next.
Fingers crossed for whatever that means.
Staying out of it.
Yeah, no, I've been playing that. I think you guys talked about it a bit last week. It's one of the newer ones to come out, obviously, and it kind of came out of nowhere. Like I didn't hear about it until it was already out. I was like, hey, people won't shut up about this game. And then I was like, hey, I don't want to stop. I laughed for like hours the first time I played it. I thought it was hilarious. And yeah, still going.
It's pretty
So-
solid.
Yeah.
Is it
So
on Game
I-
Pass?
No, I don't
No,
think so.
no.
Ah.
It's a
No, yeah. It's,
Sorry,
it's
Crushing
purchase
Dreams.
only.
yes. Well, I mean, that's true. Yeah, so
What
I'm
else
playing
have
a game.
people been
That's all I
playing
got.
this summer? Then what is one of the highlights of a summer for gaming for
Let me
us?
see. Let me take a look at.
Certainly Neon White for me.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
That was
read
another
that.
big
Love that
one.
one. Yeah.
Pretty high, yeah.
that was a
Give that
huge one.
9.5, and I was like, wow, impressive. Like I
Mhm.
I had it on my radar for a long time. Didn't expect to like it that much. I liked the previous game from the developer from Ben Esposito. I liked Donut County. Didn't expect Neon White
Very
to be
different.
like this good. And yeah, very different games.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Neon White also reviewed well just across the board. Like I remember, like
Yeah.
after the review
Yeah,
went
it
live,
did.
I looked at other people and everyone was really high on it. So I think it's one of those like games that will be on like top 10, top 5s for sure
Mhm.
come December,
can
come
definitely see
January.
I really
Definitely
wanna
sounds like a
play
game
it,
of the year contender. Yeah.
Hmm
You
but
want
I
to
feel
play?
Like I'm too
White?
stupid to play it.
I
Okay.
definitely am.
The game
Like,
is
I-
actually really good at like showing you how to play it and like teaching you and giving you hints. So give
Yeah,
it a
it's
shot.
fun.
Like, you know,
Yeah, I need a
Feels like it's-
babysitter in games
no
like
one
that.
can live at that speed.
oh, it's
Um,
so fun, you know.
I was just looking through the list here, and just in June, like a lot of horror came out, or like came out, however you want to put it.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah, the quarry.
I know Diablo's not really horror, but Diablo freaks me out a little bit. And then
Mhm.
yeah, the Quarry, a whole bunch of Resident Evil. Like, man, that was
Well, the
some
Resident
stuff.
Evils were like they like brought them onto the PlayStations.
Yeah,
Resident
so I
Evil
said
2
Re
out,
came
what,
out.
like last year
Re
or the
came
year
out.
before?
But
Yeah,
there was a
Re
problem
came
with,
out.
like the remaster of Resident Evil 3 on PS5, right? There was something that wasn't working properly. I think the
Mhm.
game was broken when it came out.
Mhm.
There was some issue I remember with that PS5 port, but still nice that they do it for free in any case.
Yeah. I'm still playing the hell out of Monster Hunter
Mm-hmm.
Sunbreak.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
And,
mentioning that one.
I know so much
mean-
more about new video games being released, guys. This is
There's a
crazy.
lot
Like
of
I've
them.
heard of that
Crazy,
one.
And as Dusk Falls, Kari liked that one.
Yeah, I like that one.
I wanna
Um,
try
I've
that
been,
if I get a chance.
I've been kind of hooked in my spare time on Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. Like I'm still
Okay.
playing that one that came out at the
Yeah.
end of June. Almost on my first playthrough. Well, getting close anyway. So it's like 60 hours,
Mhm.
and that's just one path. Like it's deep.
I actually liked a
Um,
few games.
It's
Sorry,
actually
keep
pretty
going.
solid
I just
summer.
got distracted.
No.
But like what's it called? I can't help you now. I forgot. Escape Academy. I liked that one a lot too.
Yeah, it was neat.
I liked
Mm-hmm.
2 Point Campus. That was fun. Look at me playing video games. I'm such a grown
So
up
weird.
or child again.
And enjoying them.
Yeah, that's weird. We won't talk about the one I'm playing now.
Actually,
Oh, I'm looking forward to that one.
We'll talk later. Mm.
The other big one too actually was Stray. That's still like one of my game of the years so far.
Yeah, you like that one.
Would
Yeah, no, it
I
was
like
fantastic.
that one?
Yes,
'Cause I still
think
feel
so.
mad about it. I still feel real annoyed. I've watched. To be clear, I have educated myself absolutely zero. I didn't even read the review. Like, I just said that out loud. But yeah, it still makes me mad. I'm like, why are we just a cat? This is dumb. And that's
It's
how I'm
on-
gonna
it's on
live. I'm gonna
PlayStation
die on
Plus.
that hill.
So you
It's
can
not
give it a
just
go.
being a cat. It's like
I'm dying on this hill, Chris. Let me be.
I don't want to say much more but there's a lot
Don't.
more to it
Yeah.
just being a cat. Like you have a goal that you're not just like wandering around as a cat.
Yeah.
But
I think I honestly like I feel like Yahtzee actually had a pretty good like unironic review of it where it's like the design of
Yahtzee
it
being
is really-
unironic? That's impossible.
I thought you were gonna say
Yeah,
the
no.
game Yahtzee came
Mhm.
out.
No,
That's where
no.
I thought we were going. I'm caught up
Ben
now. We're good.
Yahtzee Crosha, of Zero Punctuation fame. No, because he kind of said like that like mechanically and sort of like almost like even like thematically it's very interesting and very unique, but like structurally it doesn't really work in like terms of like being a cat and like the narrative, like kind of to what Chris is saying, which I'm not going to give away, but like there are times when the two things don't fully feel connected. At least that's what he said. And so,
Okay.
and I've heard other people kind of echo that sentiment too, like in like talking about the game. Like because I don't have the means to play it yet. So that was the thing. It's like
Oh.
it's a very like well constructed game, but it doesn't totally work.
It is available on PS4 actually.
Yeah, it is on PS4.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh shit! I thought it was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
PS5.
And
Oh,
if you
dude.
have the PlayStation Plus membership, you can play it now. I think extra.
Yeah, it's it was a weird messaging on that one because there's a physical copy coming out in September, but
Mhm.
just for PS5. And they kind of hid the PS4 version on the store, but it was like,
Yeah,
or it's
I
packaged with the
genuinely
PS5 or
had
something.
No
They
idea.
don't want you to buy that one. They want you to buy the PS5 version anyway.
It is
Okay,
it
yeah,
is
I'm
a
I'm
package
holding
deal
out
though,
for
yeah.
it.
So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I disagree with Yahtzee on that one actually. Like I thought it
Mhm.
was pretty well done.
Mhm.
I though I can kind of see why people get the disconnect, like, but I thought the way they introduced the change in mechanics that goes on temporarily in the middle was pretty well done.
Yeah.
And then it's not the entire game either. Like you get like an ability, and it's not just there forever. It's like a temporary
that's kinda
thing.
cool.
It has a purpose. What kind of like I wanted so much more too, though, like but in a good way, because I was like at the same time when you're doing that thing, the environment shifts in a different way, and I'm like, why is this like this? But you're a cat, so you don't investigate it. Like, it made-
Cats investigate everything.
but I mean, like you don't understand the meaning behind it, and I can't say
Mhm.
I can't explain it any better than that without like giving away what it is.
Mm.
And it's really something I think
Analyze
people
it.
should enjoy in the experience itself. But I just thought it was a really well designed game. Like I get the complaints about your cat, why do you
No,
understand text and stuff like that?
Well,
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
Oh, I actually didn't even get that far. I just
Yeah.
thought it'd be really boring being a cat. I didn't even register like the
There's a
logistics behind
dedicated
it. I
meow
was
button.
accepting that the cat could read.
It's interesting because my main
Yeah.
complaint about the game is that it feels like it's just being a cat. Like I think social media went ablaze of like, oh my god, like TikTok was full of videos like, oh,
Yeah.
you get to play as a cat, isn't this cute? So I thought that was mass appeal. So I thought the game was actually like a known quantity even before it came out. Like people loved it before it came out, which really helped, I think, with just how this game was received, just in general. It reminds me of like the squirrel with the gun trailers.
yeah,
I keep
that weird
seeing.
game.
That's
I keep seeing trailers for that. I have
Right.
friends I know in real life that tell me about that because it's such a cute, novel idea, like Stray.
Then you mug
And so
people.
it's
Currently
strange.
Googling. Hey guys. Oh wait, no, that's actually not inappropriate.
Well,
I'm an
it's-
idiot.
It's funny. It's funny.
I tried to
'cause when you
Google
said-
something. It went
When
wrong.
you said it reminded me of the squirrel with the gun, my mind immediately thought Conker's Bad Fur Day. I was like, wait a minute.
Okay.
Different squirrel with a gun. I know what
Yeah,
he's
different
talking
gun.
about.
Yeah, they're both squirrels technically.
To be fair, if you Google squirrel with a gun, there's a lot happening here, people.
Hmm.
Like there's a
Like-
lot going on.
Are they
Oh,
actual
those ones
squirrels?
are
Like
dead.
real
in the
life?
world? Like how many squirrels
Yeah.
have guns?
So there's
At least
there's-
one, right?
There's some memes. This one's got like a gat. There's the game. There's some interesting ones. There's a lot of people holding dead squirrels and guns.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
Okay.
That makes
That
sense.
there's one being cooked. I'm gonna leave now.
That's
That's
what I
yeah,
did.
that's enough internet for today.
I saw a cute
Yeah.
bunny and a cute squirrel today. So
I
so-
was-
Now
I
make
was
them
only-
guns.
give them a weapon.
Fight to the death.
Mhm.
Picture of a robot with guns shooting guns at a plane made of guns.
Pew pew. I pew pewed. Anyway,
You, Chris.
so what about Brendan? Do you have any games that you enjoyed this summer? So quiet over there, judging us from a distance.
I actually haven't played all that many games this summer. I play the ones I did play. I played. Was it Phobia?
Phantasmophobia?
No, what was it called? One second, I'm gonna
Oh, I
look.
wish.
I'll just call them
Phobia
out.
Saint Dinfa Hotel.
Oh yeah, we can't say that one. Yeah, I
That
know what you're
one.
talking about.
It takes place in Brazil, and it is made by a Brazilian team. They did some interesting things about it, but the game ultimately just didn't work for me. It felt
Mhm.
a lot of busy work that really weren't fun to play.
You did
Everyone's
Diablo
favorite
2
kind.
Immortal
Oh, yeah,
that
I
went
was
really
gonna- I was
well
gonna-
and then real bad real quick.
I was gonna rub some salt in that wound. Yeah. Gonna mention that.
Mm.
Yeah, that I really enjoyed, like when it was in just like the early access beta type phase. I think it was fun. I think they did a lot of good things. It's just the monetization on that game was gross, and
Mhm.
as more people kind of played it, you could see how gross it was by the fact that some people were spending thousands of dollars to get the best gear, and I'm like, I just kind of played it. It was okay.
Yeah.
It was nice when everybody wasn't
Playing a video
buying, wasn't going into debt. That was cool.
I do think they did a good job translating the Diablo experience to a mobile. And if you had like a controller like the Kishi or something like that, it felt a really responsive game. It felt like Diablo in your hands.
I feel like I played it for a minute. I feel like I
Same.
did that.
Yeah.
I think I did. Which says something again.
Yeah, but we were like when we were at Summer Games Fest, one of the people we know at Razer was showing off how well the Kishi played Diablo. I'm like, yep, yeah, it does.
It was also so clicky. Oh yeah.
Like that came in
Hey.
pretty quickly, actually.
Chris got mail.
Yeah, I did.
You got that real quick.
I did for once.
For
Thank
once.
you, the post for upping your
Mhm.
game.
Hey,
But
hey.
yeah, it's an interesting game. I just wish the monetization was a little less predatory. And
So,
beyond
Don't
that,
we wish
I'm
everything was
still
a
wrapping
little
my
less
head around trying to
predatory.
spend $1,000 on a game to get an item when you shouldn't
Some
be
people
paying
spend
more than $80
hundreds
to
of
play the
thousands.
game in the first place. Like,
To be fair, when the prices jumped to $80, we were real unhappy about that too.
Yep.
So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But other than
It's
that, I really haven't. I played a bit of Kotal M like Dana also did, but I haven't really had a time because every single time I think I'm going to play some games, another emergency happens and I can't. I played some Genshin
his
Impact.
definition of emergency is
Hmm.
loose, by the way. Like people aren't dying. We're fine. No one's been slaughtered. My cult did not take over. We're okay.
I mean, I
Yes.
did play a lot of games like during Summer Games Fest. I played some mobile games when I was reviewing the OnePlus 10T, and I've been doing some mobile gaming on the Xiaomi 12 Lite. There it is.
We're real bad at
Ooh.
this camera thing, guys. We're like, it's over here.
Well, our screens are clipped, so
Yeah,
take it right dead center.
Fun fact, Brendan's phone, the Xiaomi, looks just like my S22.
Hmm.
Even like similar colors on the back, because earlier I picked it up and couldn't get into it for like a solid 10 tries. And I was like, what is this isn't mine. It was good. I'm special. That was my fun fact for the day.
There you go.
Moving
Fun
on.
fact. The more you know. It's also been a good summer if you are a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan because the
There's a
Cowboy
lot
on
Collection
that
dropped
front,
this
yeah.
week,
Yeah.
and then the Shredder's Revenge was back in June or July.
June, I
Time
think.
is-
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
was
time
June,
has no
yeah.
meaning. It's fine.
But both them bangers reviewed well, like, and exactly what fans wanted.
Oh
so
yeah.
I'm
big
kind of
wins for
amazed.
them.
One was what was it? .emu did one, and then Konami did the other. So it's interesting to see Konami do so well on a port. 'cause,
Yeah.
Trying to make them
Konami
better.
just do so well outside of Yu-Gi-Oh! Just in general.
I mean, do they
Yeah.
own that license? Who owns like the
Yeah.
license? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
End of
Do they make the
conversation.
cards?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. They
Okay.
make the card games because Konami is
Okay.
really big in Japan and has a big physical presence,
And then
and it's
who-
kind of like a game hub area where you would go to play games.
Oh, okay.
But Shonen Jump, if I remember correctly, think publishes the manga, so the legal rights for the story are with Shonen Jump or Shueisha, one of them. But Konami makes the cards, they print them. It's exactly what Pokemon does. Although Pokemon did have Wizards of the Coast take over in the US for
Yeah.
a bit.
They did. I think
But-
they'd lose it this year or last year. Is that right?
They just bought it back, I think.
Something-
Yeah, Pokemon's
something
doing
like
it
that, yeah.
again moving
Interesting.
forward, I think.
But surely
Adventure.
it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Konami, and that's kind of what they did. And they had PS, which is now eFootball. So
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys keep track of this stuff. Like, I need a spreadsheet and to be constantly looking at it.
In my
Yeah.
case, it's a lot of like losing other important information and replacing it with this type
Oh,
of
okay.
stuff.
Well,
to
that's
be
good.
fair.
That's good. I
Just-
remember
just-
very few of the important things, but that's fine.
It's
We're
fine.
fine.
It's all fine here. On the other end of the retro spectrum, though, is also Pac-Man World Repack,
Bullshit.
which Jordan reviewed
Buh,
this week.
that's what we got from Jordan.
I
Buh.
was, waiting, I was waiting for the reaction there. Yeah.
Oh, what do I say about Pac-Man World Repack?
Buh,
It's
apparently.
not very
Buh.
good. Not for a lack of trying. Like I can see how maybe this would have been a novelty in 1999, like a 3D Pac-Man.
Who
And
wanted
like,
that?
Sounds
Even in
horrifying. It reminds
1999.
well,
it's making me
just
think
like-
of like the Kool-Aid Man.
I
mean,
don't,
yeah.
I don't. It's like Pac-Man has such a like a neat design. Like
He's
'cause
a
again,
he's a
they
circle.
actually they updated his
sphere.
model. Well, but he's got the nose, he's got the gloves. He looks cool.
I don't want him to have gloves or nose. Ugh.
He's adorable. I love him.
No, he's not. I mean, I have weird like sad Pac-Man around here somewhere in this office.
Well, you have that weird sad Pac-Man from the arcade original.
That thing is
arcade
horrifying.
Pac-Man.
I
It's
came across
horrifying.
that thing while
Yeah.
like organizing this office, and that is what
It just
nightmares
used
are
to
made of.
sit in the office and stare at you and judge.
No, it was like
Yeah,
crammed
it's-
in a box somewhere, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Doo, doo,
no.
doo, ah!" It was a whole
Listen,
thing.
It's watching for ghosts.
It
Didn't
is.
you like want to give it to me at one point? You're like, "Hey, do you want this stupid thing?" And even I was like, "No. Why would I want
remember
that?"
Do you know how many Alfs we have? We have so many Alfs also.
That is accurate.
What?
Um,
They're slightly less terrifying, but one kind of looks like it's been burned. and I don't know
It
why.
was.
When was the last time something Alpha was manufactured?
The great
Probably
Alf
not as
Fisher
long as the
of
magazine's been out, so.
1982.
That's just a weird.
Um,
They just keep appearing randomly, sporadically.
But yeah, no, it's just like it's one of those it's another one of those examples of a game that like they brought into the modern era, like they remastered it and remade it, but like they didn't apply like 20 plus years of gaming like innovation to it. So it's like, hey, do you
Okay.
want a game? that
Somebody's
still feels
grandfather
like
made it.
it's like on a PlayStation 1, but it looks like it's on a current gen console. Well, here you go. Like it just and it's like it was annoying. It's like doubly annoying because again, like if you've played Smash Bros, and I said this in my review, if you played Smash Bros, like Pac-Man feels so good to handle in that game. So it's like you get this feeling of like how Pac-Man should move and like attack things and like in a kind of like 2-dimensional or like that's basically what the game is. It's still kind of like a 2D platformer, just like with 3 dimensions for some reason. But it's like everything you do just feels very like janky and stilted, and and every level is like goddamn copy paste exactly the same. It sucks.
That sounds objectively bad.
It's not awful. Like I wouldn't say it was
Buh.
a terrible
It's
thing,
buh.
but it's not great.
It's a
so-
buh out of 10.
I mean, Zuby's not here, but I do want to bring up what was it? That what is that game?
Wow.
JoJo's.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that just came out.
That just looking at the screenshots, that game is way
Oh,
too
do I
horny.
need to go look? Oh,
Yeah, but isn't JoJo?
that
the whole
wasn't a word
series
that I
kind of
thought you were
horny?
going to say today.
Everyone's wearing like fishnet arms.
Yeah.
Like everyone with
It's-
fishnets. There's like
JoJo's got that
midriffs
tight
with
little-
fishnets.
you guys mean
Yeah.
you are not currently wearing fishnets under all your clothes?
It's just anime.
I'll never tell.
You
It's
know,
so
Yeah.
it's like it
comes with the territory.
Well, no, I think
It's-
JoJo's
It's
is a
anime
weird-
cranked up to 11.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Just looking at the pictures, it's like someone told
picked
an
normal
alien what anime
pictures.
is, and they made it. They just like we're gonna do the best of that, and then they
We could
released
do
it.
more.
and
Brendan, you put that one up, and you put like the least slutty pictures up. I'm going to
They
find
were
sluttier
sluttier.
pictures.
They're slutty.
Yeah.
That's it. You're no fun. Why aren't the slutty pictures on our site?
Like I'm just.
Oh, there's one of this person ripping their chest open. Or
I mean,
or
as one
chest-
does.
chest
Just-
That
shirt.
sounds accurate, actually. I had someone trying to try to like talk me into watching this series recently, and like your points all sound good, and then I went to actually look at the series itself. Like I can't look at this. Something
Here, I'm
about
just
the
gonna show you a
art just
picture.
doesn't appeal to me.
It's showing the cover from Netflix. Does it show?
That's not working. That's good.
I also wanted to
Technical
mention and I forgot because I'd also said this in my review that it bothered me a lot in Pac-Man, like looking back at the original version
fishnets?
because the intro cutscene had like voiceover, and they changed the intro cutscene because there's this hilarious part where like Pac-Man comes home to find his whole like family's been kidnapped, and he's just like he just does this like no, and it like closes like close-ups on his mouth. It's so funny, and they got rid of it
Pac-Man
for
has a
some
family?
reason.
Yeah. He does.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
there's Mrs. Pac-Man, there's Pac-Kid, there's Pac-Baby.
Oh, I
They
guess I know
added
about
this like
Mrs.
old man Pac in this one. I don't know who he is, but
And
yeah.
now they gave Pac-Man
How?
a Darth Vader moment. Perfect.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't,
I don't
His-
understand why the
his-
series
his
ever left the
voice-
2D arcade. I
I don't know why they care.
I'm
They
telling you
just
guys-
let it
Bring my
die.
friend.
I think I actually I hope it's there. I linked it in my like in the text. Like you got to look it up. He's just like no, it's so
You don't need to
fucking
do that.
funny.
That's
What's
awful.
baffling to me too is that they also just released a compilation of Pac-Man games recently.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they had waited to put that out and snuck this in with it, I think you wouldn't.
Yeah.
People wouldn't have noticed. All the things that
It
you're
would have been
noticing.
fine.
It would have been mitigated because it's not just the
It-
only thing that's in the package, right? Like
It looks really good. That's one thing I'll say. It's very pretty.
What is?
Pac-Man.
Okay.
fishnets.
I mean,
Yeah, no,
I'd pay to see Fat
they did a
Pac-Man
good job.
fishnets.
They did a good job updating the visuals. It's just everything.
I don't think you need to pay to.
updated as well.
I'm pretty sure you can look that up on the internet. Don't look it up, Dana's mom.
It's somewhere next. Yeah.
It's somewhere
Mom?
there for free, I'm sure.
Past
If
your
you can
bedtime
think it,
now. We can
you
talk
can find
about
it
hentai.
on the internet.
What's
Well-
that one rule of the internet? Yeah.
34.
Typing things I shouldn't on my work computer.
Oh God, you actually looked it up. I said don't look it up.
Yeah, because that's how I work. Oh, okay. Boss, if something weird happens, hey, guess what comes up? Hentai.
Here,
Pac-Man. Okay. Oh,
Full
God.
circle. It's full circle.
Nothing good is happening.
It
I should-
exists.
Like
of
a
course it
Pac-Man.
I'm going to
does.
close that.
That's like a
window.
Pac-Man.
I'm going to get some weird
All these
ads at
squares
work
make a
now.
circle.
Weird ads at work. Don't call
Yeah,
HR.
that's gonna be a thing. That's gonna be a thing. Scrub the whole thing down. But that's enough looking back. Let's look forward a little
Googling.
bit with Ed's coverage from Gamescom. We talked a bit about Gamescom last
Mhm,
week, but Ed,
mhm.
you were actually there on the scene.
I
So
was.
How was that whole
Tell us
experience?
about it.
It was fun. It was a week of games. It's fun. It's my first major event since the pandemic, so it was
Mm.
good to kind of be back at it. It was interesting because Germany still has a strong mask policy, at least in public transport. I'm not sure how it is in Canada, but over in the UK, masks are kind of like, yeah,
it's hit
Forgotten
or miss.
about.
I think our planes still have masks, but most
Yeah, we still have to
things
on the planes.
don't.
Well, that's yeah, because most of the federal mandates are still in place, but basically,
Mhm.
like provincially, even just yesterday, they basically dropped like everything. You don't even need to isolate anymore if you
Yeah.
like get COVID. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, I know, Chris.
Don't get me
Massive
started.
eye roll for the listening public.
Yeah, we're
But,
not going to do that right now,
it's
but
fine.
yeah.
But it was strange how like Germany said, "Hey, like wear masks on
Hmm.
public transport," but then on the show floor itself, or maybe only 2% of the people I saw were wearing masks, and from that 2%, 1% were cosplaying, so had masks on by default or helmets or whatever. But yeah, really fun. I've never been to Gamescom before. I have been to a convention before. I've been to TGS before, so kind of just to
nice.
compare the two. Gamescom is larger. It is the world's largest. Although
Is it
this
the
year,
largest?
yeah, at least in terms of like exhibitors, attendees per like surface. And it's interesting because it has a lot of like elements. So I didn't really know this until I was there, but Gamescom has a big political presence. Angela Merkel opened it in 2017, so it's strongly
I was
tied.
there for that. It was weird.
Yeah, it's strongly tied with politics in Germany. Ministers are kind of using Gamescom to kind of like get cool with the kids and stuff like that. And it's
Dip
also
and or with it.
yeah, and it's also a festival in the city of Cologne. Gamescom takes place in Cologne, Germany, and it's also kind of like a city festival. So you do have the trade show at Kölnmesse, which is this immense convention center, but you also have events sporadically and kind of like peppered in throughout the town. So it's really big for just Cologne and the colonies itself. Kind of just to compare with Tokyo Game Show, way bigger. There are about 10 halls, and so every single area is segmented. You have merchandise, you have business areas, you have the places where you actually get to play. It's very well organized. I had no problems, almost no queues in terms of like moving around. Obviously, queues to play games.
Only a
but very,
couple people
very
asking
well
you to meet them
organized.
at random hotels. It's
Mm.
fine.
Yeah,
I
But,
do want to ask
yeah.
you, Ed. In past years, they usually had like the lower hall, the one like you go down the escalator or whatever.
Mhm.
That was for PC and hardware stuff. Then they used an entire hall for cosplay. Did that all still take place this year?
Yeah, but it was interesting. So for example, take Hall 4. Hall 4 was business. 4-2 was the main business hall. 4-1 was the kind of like relegation zone. It's like, it's like the indie business area. So like
Okay.
5-2 was merchandise. 5-1 was merchandise that was not as cool. So it was kind of
Not as cool.
I just-
Like,
yeah,
That was on the
That-
sign.
yeah, that the lower floors were not as
that makes
hyped
sense.
up. So 10-1,
Like the Titanic. The
yeah.
lower floors.
I think
Mm.
10-1 was the cosplay booth, and they had an activation from YouTube Shorts. They had a big like cosplay contest, and you can go take a picture in front of a green screen. So yeah, 10-1. So like the lower floors were still there, but it was kind of clear to me that the upper floors were like where you wanted to go.
Yeah, I think those are the most expensive.
Yeah, I
This
think
is
so.
my
Yeah.
favorite story. It's very clear you didn't want to be on those lower floors.
No, but like you would, I would
Peasant
go, and
truth.
it's like there's not many people there. Like even on
Mhm.
like public days, because Gamescom has press and public days. Even on public days, everyone was kind of like in the other halls. So like if you're in 10-1 or the lower levels,
Mhm.
there's not that many people, and it's less interesting and less developed. But the marquee halls were like 8, 7, 9. That's where most of the games were. And
Very cool.
yeah, we had Sony, Nintendo were not there. Activision was not there except for merchandise.
Okay. Your highlight and your low light?
Low light.
We're gonna call it low light.
Low light was Sonic. I
That
already
bad.
That
had
makes
my,
me feel better
yeah.
though, because I was all stressed out that like I was just an asshole. So I'm really glad that we both hated it.
No, so low light was Sonic. It's hard to have expectations for Sonic, but I'm a big fan of the franchise, and I think with Frontiers you can see that they're trying something new. It reminds me of like Pokemon Legends Arceus, where like, oh,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
the fan what the game that the fans want, but I really am like worried about it. And my highlight, I loved Tachia, and
Mhm.
my
Yeah,
preview
you
for that
mentioned
is out. I got to sit down and play it with the game director himself, and it was really good to see like the passion come through from him and from the entire
I
team.
got to do that with at Summer Game Fest with the new Star Trek movie game that I can't remember the name of right now. And it was really cool sitting down and talking to somebody who I don't
Mhm.
know, when you think of like a managerial role in a normal job, we're all like, yeah, we're doing
Mhm.
our thing. It's yep, this is what I'm doing. But to hear them like really pumped about what they're doing and the team behind them and the story and all that was
Mhm.
a lot of fun, and it made the experience that much better.
Yeah, and to give a hint at the previews to come, Moonbreaker, I really love. That's the new IP from the Subnautica games. And I got an interview with the game director,
That's really
and
cool.
Homeworld 3 was the blowout preview I have, and that's still in the pipeline.
So that was
Interview,
good.
both of them excellent. I thought,
Awesome.
yeah.
Kate, Moonbreaker, you said it's called. Does that just mean that it's Subnautica in space? Is it Subnautica in space?
You would think so from the title, but it's actually quite a big departure. It's a digital miniatures game. So imagine if you have
Okay.
Warhammer, but made Warhammer into a video game. That's kind of the pitch.
Hmm.
And it's XCOM with miniatures is the easiest way for you to get an idea of what it is.
Okay.
And one of the key features is that you can fully customize the miniatures. So they have a very in-depth painting in the game,
Detailing and stuff.
and they've hired and they've commissioned people to make the models that you see in the presets that you see in the trailers and in the key art using the tools they have in the game. So theoretically, if you have the skills, anyone could like really turn up with like a great design from the get-go. And Moonbreaker has lore written by Brandon Sanderson, who is a great writer behind Mistborn and a lot of like other great fantasy books. And I think, if I remember correctly, there is no lore in the game. There is no story mode currently, but they are planning on audio dramas. So
Oh,
there
that's
will
kinda
be
cool.
audio dramas in the game, but also on podcast services. So they were really keen to tell me about the fact that you can paint your miniatures and also listen to the podcast, to the audio dramas on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and every and all podcast services. So it's interesting. It's a big departure from Subnautica, which was
Mhm.
underwater survival game. But I'm really high on it. I think it was fun.
Awesome.
I'm worried because like Subnautica will launch in early access, so we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah. Okay.
hopeful.
I mean,
They've showed a lot.
They nailed it with Subnautica. So
Yeah, and this looks way more developed than when Subnautica was when that first came to early access. So
okay.
based on past record, I'm hopeful. And game director, really a lovely chat. That will also
So we
feature
will have
as
an interview
part
that
of my
as well as a
preview.
preview, or
Yeah.
what we're going. Okay. Awesome.
I think
Ooh.
it's best for it to be kind of mixed, because a lot
Yeah, that
of
makes
the
sense.
questions were about what I played in particular. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the preview. That's a biggie. And Homeworld 3, a lot of years in the making, 20 years in the making.
Yeah, I
You
remember when
know,
Homeworld 2
yeah.
came out late 90s. Was it early 2000s?
It was early 2000s, and I
Yeah.
remember this because they gave me a big presentation of the history of the franchise, which
Oh,
was
God. Okay. So now
great.
you
It was
know.
really, he's been indoctrinated.
yeah.
Um,
I had almost a 2-hour slot with the Homeworld 3 people, which
Oh,
is
God. That's a lot.
I
also
don't have
part
time
of the
for that.
reason why I didn't make the Helsinger concert, because I was still knee deep in Homeworld. So
Right.
Homeworld 3 years in the making. I got to play an hour, a full hour, which was
Mhm.
good. I got to play mission 3 and 4, I think, or 3 and 2.
Mhm.
And I want to say I think the only one that finished my mission
Oh, okay.
from
Cool.
all the people that previewed. So I was happy that I got to finish my missions. Really good. I think the one thing I'm nervous with it is that the story doesn't seem to be set in stone yet. They told me a lot of like what I saw in terms of story was placeholder. I know it continues the story of Homeworld 2. You play as a new character,
Okay.
following in the footsteps of the protagonist from 2, because she got lost in this like lost dimension, lost galaxy. But it played really well. I'm excited about it. Like with Moonbreaker, it it is very nerdy in the sense that you can zoom in and you can see all the details of the ships, and you
Right.
can, for example, if you press F, because I played on PC, you can lock in onto your ships on a very granular level, and you can see, when missiles fire, and you can hear them as well. You can see when turrets activate and fire, so you can really like zoom out and zoom in as you wish, and it adds a really cool depth to the game. But yeah, for that as well, a meaty preview on the way with an interview with a game director. So those two big highlights. Also, Darktide, kind of the same story. Played a lot and played with the developers, which was intimidating. I had a multiplayer session with the melee combat designer that I got to interview as well, and the range combat designer. And it was interesting because after my interview, he gave me advice, and it was fun because Darktide, if you played Vermintide 1 and 2, or if you played similar games like Left 4 Dead, kind of really wants you to go melee, and I wasn't ready because I played the range class. So the melee combat designer gave me tips on like, yeah, I saw you do this, do that, and then it was fun to see that he loves the game, and I left
he's
feeling
like,
that
you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, it's not that
Stop ruining my work.
I was doing it wrong. You can tell that they're really passionate and they have a clear vision, and really impressed with that. Looks good. It's more iterative. It's more Vermintide. The lore has changed significantly, and because it's a different setting. You're in space. You're a prisoner in space. Imagine Guardians of the Galaxy in the first film when they're all like kind of like prisoners in that space prison. That's kind of the vibe they're going for.
Mhm.
But looks really good. Plays really well.
And that
And,
is that's now by level infinite, is that right?
Yeah, I saw Darktide the level infinite, but yeah.
Now, they're the ones that were doing the Metal Hellsinger concert, right?
Yes, yeah, I think so.
So
Yeah.
can you just for anyone that wasn't there, what was that like? I know you couldn't get into it, but how
Mhm.
big was that actual concert?
I saw the hall because I walked past it a long time. It was pretty big, and they were. I don't want to say a number of attendance, but like it looked like pretty significant. And from the live stream I've watched after the fact,
Yeah.
I've heard people describe it as like one of the best marketing events for a game ever.
Like they rented a full
Because-
hall, right?
Yeah, they rented a full hall as part of the Kölnmesse just for the concert, and there was one event. They didn't have multiple concerts. It was one concert on the Thursday of
Mhm.
the week of the show at 7 p.m. doors, and I think concert was at 8. I want to
Okay.
say, but what makes the game cool and makes this event cool is that they hired people from who are actual like metal singers in real life, and
Mhm.
this is their livelihoods, and it shows, and they can tell it's vastly different when you hire people who kind of phone it in rather than people who are passionate about this. And from hearsay, I heard that it was really good and really impressive, and
So
people
were the
loved it.
people? So the people they brought to the concert, were those the people that did the songs in the game, or were they different
Yeah.
people?
He wasn't there.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
then-
no,
When
no,
you
but
said,
I
I know you didn't go, but tell
but
me
I-
everything about it.
but I know I know that the people from the game, and I'm gonna confirm right now, but I think they are.
That's really cool.
And
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
several of the game's celebrated vocalists will perform their songs from the game. Yeah.
That's really cool.
So there were all songs from the game, and you have So I don't listen to mails, so I'm gonna butcher names. You have Matt Heafy from Trivium, Alyssa Whitegloss from Arch Enemy, Michael Straner from Dark Tranquility. So like names that people will recognize.
Those are legit names. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think that's what's impressive in terms of the game in particular, but also obviously that they brought that with the concert. So they really brought it. It was good.
That's
I
amazing.
dig it.
Definitely seemed like Metal Singer was like one of the big ones, but that and the Lies of P, those seem to
Yeah.
be the big takeaways,
Yeah,
especially
I-
when it
And
comes to
one of the top
awards.
articles on our site is just news about it right now.
Yeah.
So like people
Yeah.
are talking about this game.
Did you
I
get a
have
good
a
look at Lies
preview.
of P?
Yeah, I have a preview
Nice.
about Lies of P, and I have a story
Oh,
about
that's
Lies of P,
awesome.
which is really fun. So going into it, we didn't kind of expect Lies of P to be this big deal because it's just a Pinocchio, Souls-like game. So at face value, I don't think we were that interested. But then after the trailer, people were kind of like, "Hey, hang on a minute, looks like more Bloodborne." And I remember the first day, the business day, I went to the Xbox booth. All of the journalists were lining up to play Lies of P, so already had
Really?
quite a lot of buzz. Yeah, so it was 9 a.m. Xbox booth. Everyone was lining up, and I think throughout the show it had like the longest queue times. And eventually, I was in the business area, and I messaged you, Dana, and you, Brendan, about, "Hey, Lies of P appointment? ? And then I realized I was next to the what they're called, NeoWiz, I think is the
Yeah,
developer
Neo, yeah.
name. I was right next to their booth, and I was like, "Hey, let me check. I can at
You're
least
like, I'm
ask.
right here.
I
Let me
can
go.
at least
Poke a
ask."
head over, yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, you can play the game." So I went, played Lies of P for about 20 minutes, got to speak, I think, with the game director, I want to say.
That's really cool.
Game was in development for 2 years, so started sometime in 2020, presumably.
It looks
And it
much
plays
more. It looks like it's had much more development time. It looks really polished from everything. I've seen.
Yes. I'm a bit down on it. I think I don't see what other people see in terms of like it being more than we've seen from Lords of the Fallen or The Surge, being a Souls-like game,
God damn.
but not necessarily iterating. I'm not really into the entire Pinocchio thing. I know the book. I know the game is based on the lore of the book with some modifications,
I
obviously.
mean, the book goes to weird places. So
It does, and from what I could ask the devs, the game also will go to those weird places, more or less.
Yay.
Yeah, because
Um,
I heard
yeah.
initially that there's supposed to be a whole like mechanic where you can like engage in dialogue, and if you tell lies, it like alters your character.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that, so
I
from the
mean-
get-go, what you need to know about Lies of P, as opposed to Demon Souls and other Souls-like games, this is not a hub world. This is chapter based,
Yeah.
and I had no interactions, had no cutscenes, so I kind of just like had a combat demo essentially. But what I know is that, for example, Jiminy Cricket is with you, except for the fact that he's not called Jiminy in the original book, only in the Disney animated film.
Right. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
But in the game, they kind of poke fun at that in the way that I don't like.
Oh, how so?
So like there's a line I heard in one of the trailers where like the cricket says, "Oh, my name is Jiminy," but not the Jiminy you know. So it's kind of, from what I remember, so they're kind of poking fun in a way I'm not on board with, and
Okay.
A
I
little too
kinda-
self-referential.
yeah, I'm kind of afraid that the cricket will become kind of like the Navi. So I do have concerns, and I feel like it's not fit with the tone of the game. Granted, I again did not see any cutscenes, did not hear any dialogue.
Right.
But in terms of the gameplay, I think the most interesting mechanic is that you have a skill tree, and that you can update your skill tree beyond upgrading. So like you can upgrade Pinocchio and kind of like make him more of a puppet, from what I understand. And it's
interesting.
kind of Bloodborne plus Sekiro. Looks like Bloodborne, plays like Bloodborne, but it has a dedicated block button. And also by pressing L1, because I played on a PlayStation controller, you get to use Pinocchio's left arm, which has like a grappling hook
As one does.
type mechanism, yeah.
I remember
And
that
so
part,
you can bring enemies closer to you, not larger enemies, kind of just like enemies which are kind of as big as you are. And yeah, I got about 20 minutes of game time. It looks good. It looks pretty. I'm just concerned at the end of the day, people will say, "Hey, it's another Souls-like game," and I think it tries to fill in a gap left by Bloodborne 2 that
Right.
I don't think anything but Bloodborne 2 could fill.
Makes sense.
So that's why I think if you're hoping this is anything like Bloodborne, beyond aesthetics and beyond like visuals, I don't think it's as robust or as interesting, sadly. But again, a full preview of that coming soon as well.
Dun dun.
Lots of great previews coming in the works. Looking forward to seeing all that stuff. It sounds really exciting.
I'm only a little bit salty. It's fine. It's fine. We can still be friends.
I think I played.
I'm not at all jealous either. Yeah, no.
I think I had about 4 appointments every day, and I played as much as I could. I played Goat Simulator 3. I played Company of Heroes 3. I
sorry.
played Park Beyond. What else? I played a bunch of indie games, some fun ones. I went to the Canada Indie Games booth that they had, kind of checked things around. Went to the UK Indie Games booth, checked things around. Went to the Romanian games. We had 2 games that were made by Romanian devs. So I'm like, okay, that's a start. But yeah, and something about Gamescom that I think is uniquely German. There is a simulator for everything. Farm simulator, we got it. Police simulator, yeah. Train simulator World 3, yeah. Autobahn simulator,
I mean, we
yeah.
all need that.
And I think in all the pictures I sent you guys for social media, I have a car. There were so many cars. A disturbing amount of cars. Team Ford had a Jeep, as in not the brand, just like a ginormous Ford. The Pokemon electric car was one of the highlights in terms of like what you can see. They had a collaboration with Mini Cooper.
Yeah.
And then there was an actual tractor for Farm Simulator.
I mean, why wouldn't
course there
there be,
was.
really?
There was an actual like firefighter. What do you call it? Fire truck. Sorry,
Oh,
it is Leiden.
The firefighters were all there.
There was an actual fire truck for some reason. So just an impressive but frankly kind of disgusting amount of cars. And yeah,
Was there a goat for Goat Simulator?
there was.
But that's gonna tell you
Really?
just like the.
I mean, not an actual real life goat, but
okay.
they did have a statue of a goat with a jetpack.
That's fair.
And,
That's close.
Why wouldn't they, really?
And Goat Simulator takes my prize for the worst merch I've received from Gamescom, but I've ever seen. So if you haven't seen the pictures that are on the CG Mag Twitter, they give you a goodie bag. They gave a goodie bag to the first 80 people to play Goat Simulator every day. I think I played it on my second day of the show. And in the goodie bag, you have a mask of the goat, tongue out, horrible looking, stickers, a bag of grass that's actually just plastic, and the star of the show, an udder, like an actual like rubberized udder that you can stick to your waist. You can tie to your waist.
I don't
and
need to do that.
So much is happening.
Frankly
Just hand it back to them.
Yeah, it is uncomfortable, but I think it, in terms of marketing, brilliant, because here we are speaking about it. So,
That's true. They got us.
way to
Damn,
go,
they got us.
marketing team. Yeah.
Got us there.
Why do they always get us?
These game conventions sound fun. I need to get to one.
They're fun.
I just looking forward to my regular old conventions, public conventions. Yeah. Anyways, speaking of simulator stuff, it's a real trend in games that I actually wanted to talk about tonight. It seems like there's, like you said, a simulator for everything. I'm just waiting for simulator game dev simulator to come out, because that's
I'm
just
sure that exists. I'm sure.
It's gotta
PC
happen
Building
eventually.
Simulator exists, which is
That's
so
pretty
It
close.
does exist. Okay,
And
but
I guess
here's
Game
the
Dev
thing.
Tycoon kind of covers that.
Mhm.
niche
Power
too, but
Wash
anyway.
Simulator also exists, and I don't know
Yeah.
if you remember me from Summer Game Fest making fun of that and then playing it and being like, it was really fun, guys. Like, it was fun.
I've heard that one is oddly zen.
It is like
the-
it's super like it makes me think of adult coloring books. They're really intricate and you just kind of zone out and get every little corner. It reminds me of that. and like there's a Mythbusters simulator. That's
I don't. Sure, why not?
As in, you play as the guys from Mythbuster.
yeah, you're a Mythbuster. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely, that's a thing. I'm just
Can I
going
just
through.
simulate having that guy's facial hair though? Because that's the
There you
I don't
go.
I don't need anything else. I just need that part of the game.
Here's what I did. I went to my email and I typed in simulator.
Mhm.
Here's what we've got. We've got Ultimate Fishing Simulator 2.
hell yeah.
That seems necessary.
Yeah,
Authentic
That's
golf
Ultimate 2.
So we've got golf simulation, flight simulator, space. What? Some of these don't make sense. Hold on, I gotta get deeper. Like, there's just this one's an escape simulator. Like, what?
We have to go deeper.
Goat
Just-
simulator. Like, there's just so many weird things. For a while there, drug dealer simulator. That's a thing that has
Oh.
happened more than
Mhm.
once. Like, why are these
I
things we're
finally
doing?
achieved my dream of being.
Isn't that just Saints Row or GTA? Isn't that
No,
what we're
'cause you-
doing?
you never, like-
MafiaWars.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zombie Cure Lab. That's
The opposite to Pandemic Inc.
actually, I did an
Yeah.
article. Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
There's American Truck Simulator, Euro Truck Simulator.
Yeah, there's,
Euro Truck Simulator is great. Actually, like very
I've heard
beloved
people
in
like
Europe.
that.
Very beloved.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people really like it.
Like there's people who like download maps and create maps of like unofficial stuff. Like I've seen people go gaga over it. It's crazy.
That actually
Well-
calls back to like something that I was thinking. There's something that I observed because there was someone looking for a farm simulator copy for like nephew or cousin or something that works on a farm. They work on a farm and they want to play farming simulator in
Mhm.
their off time. I guess I can see where there'd be some interest, but at the same time, when it's something that you do as a job that's mundane, why would you want
Mhm.
to simulate it?
To be fair,
necessarily?
though,
Like,
we
to-
play The Sims and we just like
Yeah,
murder
fair
people all
point.
day.
Very
Yeah.
fair point.
Um,
yeah, that's a good point, I guess. Yeah,
But I
I
think-
it's just
wrote an article for another site and it was literally just like the strangest simulators you can play. So Power Wash Simulator's on there, Apico's on there because beekeeping simulator.
Job
Okay,
Simulator.
fine. Here, Robot Vacuum Simulator X. You can be a Roomba. We got
Right.
Farming Simulator, Goat Simulator, Rock Simulator.
Be a
You-
rock.
Here, level up to explore the great landscapes created by Mother Nature with zero responsibilities and nothing else but the wind blowing by your hard, rocky surface.
It's a very green game. I like it.
You literally just sit there unpacking. Though that was a great game. That game won a bunch of
Mhm.
awards. It's
Mhm.
unpacking boxes. Totally accurate battle simulator. I can't say this
Yeah,
word.
but totally accurate battle simulator like
Not
isn't
quite the same.
totally accurate, and that's
Right,
kind
that's
of
the joke. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're all just
Yeah.
like gooey rubber people who just hit each other with stuff.
I'm gonna say this wrong. It's like Viscera cleanup detail.
Yep, Viscera cleanup detail.
Oh, I've
that's,
heard
like,
of that one,
One of
yeah.
the first.
Yeah,
you-
so-
you play as like a janitor. It's like so basically like in Doom. After the Doom guy ran through
Oh, yeah.
a
That's
marine
fair.
facility and blasted a bunch of demons, you come in and clean up the mess.
I love it.
We've got.
It's actually a lot of fun. I played a bit of it. It is really. It's like
I
again,
feel
it's
like I would
it's-
like that.
It's zen, but it's also kind of like tongue in cheek.
You're like, how did this happen?
Well, because it
Um,
accounts
Yeah.
for stuff too. Like it's like you have to like if you're like mopping up a bunch of blood, if you don't like regularly like clean your mop, it just starts spreading the blood around even more. Like
That's fair.
it accounts for stuff. It's great.
Microsoft
Um,
Flight Simulator by
accurate,
far
I guess.
the
Prob-
best simulator.
See,
So,
for me, like I
yeah.
would think that's so
Just a-
boring. But
Well, they put a lot of detail into that. Like
I played it at Gamescom. Speaking of like detail, and I spoke to the two lead devs on it, and it was crazy because the demo they had on the show was me flying over Cologne, and I asked how recent the data was, and they were like, "Oh, it's like from last year." And so you can see every single like building, and now they're coming up with updates in Canada. I think
That's kinda cool.
before the anniversary edition comes out in November, they were saying we're doing Canada, we're releasing Canada. So like they released vanilla game and now they're just adding detail onto
That's really
everything, and it is ridiculous how good it looks. And I played it on I don't even know how to call it, but it simulated actually like being in a plane, and you had the propeller, I will call it,
Yeah.
but it's not a propeller thing.
I
yeah.
am simulating a cult right now, and it's going swimmingly. But this list, it's got like gas station simulator. You can just work at a gas station. That's all
As
you
one
do.
does.
Space Warlord organ trading simulator.
That's very niche.
Nice.
Practical.
Mythbusters the game. Yeah, there's.
Mm.
Works
we know
well
about
when
my
paired
cat
with Drug
cafe
Dealer
manager.
Simulator.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Drug
So
dealer
much to go
simulator
on
is
it.
also on this list. Yeah, it's a weird. There's another one called airplane mode, where you are a passenger on an airplane.
Oh, I don't know
That's
why I
it.
believe
That's
that you
it?
become the airplane.
Nope, you are like they give you a
Put your
meal.
phone on airplane mode and then
You
walk
watch
away
stuff
from the
on
game.
the screen.
I'm gonna throw it out there. That doesn't sound fun.
Nope.
Is that like
and then yeah,
that needs to be like a VR experience where you
It's
just kind
all
of
the
sit
fun
there.
of
Yeah.
getting on a plane without going anywhere.
Without the plane.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then yeah, PC
Without
building
the
simulator.
terror. Yeah. See,
Uh,
PC building simulator I played actually when I was getting ready to like build my PC,
Mhm.
and I found it kind of
mentioned
neat to like brush off those skills that I hadn't used in like 10 years. Whereas like again, farming simulator, if I was a farmer, it seems like it wouldn't be very interesting. Flight simulator, I'm never
I
gonna
hated
fly a
love-
farming
plane.
simulator.
But I
Well,
think
love
farming
farming.
simulator. I think farming sim would make you better at farming if you were a farmer. I think you would understand things about farming that you never thought about. Like
Well, I think it's-
imagine, yeah, go on.
I was going to say that we were talking to the people that made Farming Simulator at one point, and apparently their biggest market is actual farmers.
Mm-hmm.
During the off season, they just play that game. Like, I feel I
Okay,
would.
keep your skills sharp.
Yeah.
I hated how slow I had to drive from place to place, and that like I needed
Mm.
to properly drive down. I tried. I love my sim games. I love picking me some vegetables, but
Mhm.
like I was like, I don't.
Well, I think
I just want this. I don't want to drive there. This is it.
I think
This is
that's- I think that's-
infuriating.
kind of what separates something like Farming Simulator
Yeah.
to something like Stardew Valley, where like that's.
How'd you
a
know what I was talking
farming
about,
sim.
Jordan? God,
Because we get the bind link, girl.
I got you.
Like because like it's like though like that game like it's you know I was just thinking about something that was said kind of earlier, like what like Chris was talking about, like because I remember like a lot of people didn't understand why I like enjoyed Harvest Moon and like Animal Crossing, because they were kind of like, it's like you go like you work all day or you go to school all day, you have to like do work. Why would you go home and do more work in a video
Games
game?
at
Like,
work.
don't you wanna...
Games at
Like-
work anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah, but there's a distinction between like playing a game where you're like literally doing a job and playing a game where you're like blowing the heads off of demons for fun. Like it is a sort of work, but there's a, you know, there's a disconnect. So like, but like there, you know, the thing about Stardew Valley that's more appealing is that like it cuts out a lot of that like boring sort of like more realistic stuff, so it gives you kind of like the sensation of sort of like growing crops and seeing the fruits of your labor
Mhm.
working towards a goal without necessarily needing to tack on all this like extra tedium to it.
Mhm.
Well, you know what they say: if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. But
That's not true.
Lies.
No, that's
They
not-
lied.
That's,
Remotely
that's
true.
not
horribly
true.
wrong.
I love being a Gamescom. It's still
Yeah.
still work.
Yeah.
It's still work.
Even me, like I've gotten to do I've been really lucky the last year. I got to do some really cool things, and family and friends that are
Mhm.
looking at my social media like, that's awesome. I'm like, no, like
no, it is
yes,
work.
and then no. Like
Yeah.
I had to cram this out. I streamed with you guys from Austria at well, Ed, you know what I'm talking about. In the middle of the damn night, like I rush home to get to my kids, and then like no, everything is chaos all the time. It's
Mhm.
super cool, and like when you sit back and think about it, you're like, that was awesome. But in the moment, you're like, no. Why?
Mhm.
Why am I on an airplane? Why am I in a hotel? This
Yeah.
is all terrible. Brendan and I are diving into TIFF next week, and I've showed you the schedule that we had to like whittle down, and Brendan and I were trying to just sort out what movies we had to see. For example, the spreadsheet that they sent us of all the showtimes for TIFF was 700 lines long,
Mhm.
and I had to knock that down to 2 people seeing movies for a week.
Yeah.
And I was literally he's like, well, if you see this one here, then you can see this one here and this one here. And I literally was just like hysterically laughing. I'm like, nope, I got nothing. Like, I don't even like movies anymore. I'm done. And it hasn't even started yet. So, I mean, it's super cool, but now I know why Brendan's so damn jaded.
You get it now. You understand
I get
already.
it. I get it.
There was one other sim I just wanted to throw out that just got its release date announced this week. Brewmaster Beer Brewing Simulator. I saw
of
the
course.
trailer for this, and it's like it's your typical simulator game. You're brewing game or brewing beers and stuff. The trailer, however, is narrated by the same person who narrated Disco Elysium.
Oh,
That's pretty awesome.
Oh, nice.
Those were,
It
like,
blew
the
my
same
mind a little
person.
bit. It's like brew your favorite beers and like all like that weird cryptic voice he uses, but it's like totally mundane and like marketing script, and it's like
I just
my
thought of
brain's having
the-
aneurysm. Is this in the game right now? Like, is this Disco Elysium?
I just thought about like the Old Spice guy when you did that.
That's fair.
All right.
Look at me. Look at him.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I know the simulator games are weird, and I'm gonna go home and play one or two
yeah.
or three.
And I'm gonna go request this one because I want to learn how to make beer.
Hey,
That's
there you
fair.
go. I'm
It's my
sure
favorite
it's
kind
like
of
real
simulator.
life experience. I'm sure it's totally fine.
It's kind of like what PC building simulator is, where it's like, yeah, like the core of it is there, but you don't get like the experience of like trying to
Electrocuting
like
yourself.
finagle like the
Yeah.
wires and the electrocution and all that stuff. Yeah, that's just not there.
It gives you all this false confidence that when you go to do it for real, you just hate yourself. It's good.
It's like it's the kind of thing in that game where like if you know what you're doing, you're like, yeah, and here's the part where I would also do this while I'm doing that. And
Yeah.
it wouldn't take
Mm.
like click
This
of a
is
button and
completely
go a lot
inaccurate.
faster.
Flips the table.
Yeah.
Mm,
Exactly.
I like it.
I think my favorite part about this sort of simulator is that you would think it would make you good at the actual thing you're simulating. And like, oh, you play farming simulator, you're now good at farming. Probably not. Like, there's a really fun story. I love Football Manager, and I
Mhm.
probably put like 1,000 hours into it. There was a really successful Football Manager guy a few years ago that was hired by this actual football team to manage
Mhm.
the team. Really like good at Football Manager. When it came down to managing a team, couldn't do it. Was sacked after like a few weeks. So like it's interesting how you would think, oh, I'm gonna learn to pilot the plane playing Microsoft Flight Simulator, or like I'm gonna learn to farm or to use a tractor or whatever. No, these skills are not transferable. You are gonna be good at the game and maybe learn a few things, but
I like it.
I
Wait,
wanna-
so surgeon simulator won't make me a medical doctor?
I do
definitely
wanna-
not.
I do want to throw one story in here before we wrap up this section. Just the fact that Sony is doing the movie for the Gran Turismo movie, related to the fact that a guy like played Gran Turismo
Mhm.
a lot, and then he got a chance to actually race and did well. But the fun fact about that is, I talked to that guy like 4 years ago.
Mhm.
And I was like, he's like, yeah, I just played the game a lot, and then I got a chance to do it, and it was good. And I'm like, that's really cool. And then I did nothing with that interview. And then I see them making a movie about it. I'm like, God damn it. I
Yeah,
had an interview with that guy.
Search your files.
We were this close.
still there.
It probably is somewhere. The pile of hard drives is alarming, though.
That's
every,
a lot to dig
like,
through.
Every game you go check out, you get a little flash drive. Like, no, I found my Lego flash drive the other day. I was like, oh, that was in a place it shouldn't have been. Here I
Well,
am.
on
On
that note-
conversation.
Yeah, and you've done it. You've killed it. That's going to do it for us for this week. If you'd like to read more on these topics and more, including all the upcoming coverage from Ed on Gamescom, you can find that coverage at cgmagonline.com. If you'd like to be sure to follow CG Magazine on all the socials, just search CG Mag. And if you have any questions or comments, send them to podcast@cgmagonline.com. Ed, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Edward Gafton. That's my actual real life name on Twitter, or on CG Mag. I'll have, as you say, a lot of previews coming up. I have Sonic up. I have to cheer up. Hope to have an editorial by tomorrow, which covers just kind of like my experience, what I did. A lot of
Awesome.
parties, a lot of Gamescom stuff coming your way.
Awesome. Jordan.
You can find me sometimes on Instagram, sometimes on TikTok at NinjaXJordan, and you can find me on YouTube at Ninja Jordan Reviews.
Dana.
Hey, you can find me at Dana Eileen in some places. Go to the site, find it 'cause it's spelled weird.
Find some places.
Or written at the bottom of the screen if you're
Some-
watching now.
If you're watching.
Google it.
Brendan.
You can follow me at bfry26 on all the socials.
And you can catch me on Twitter at Hoogathy and here on Twitch at Guild2Taps. So on behalf of everyone here at CG Magazine, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.
That's not me this time.